Hello, my techie friends. Welcome to this video on part 2 of configuring Azure resources with tools. This video focuses on Azure CLI, or Command-Line Interface. Azure CLI is a command-line program to connect to Azure and execute administrative commands on Azure resources. It runs on Linux, macOS, and Windows, and allows administrators and developers to execute their commands through a terminal, command line prompt, or script instead of a web browser. For example, to restart a VM, you would use the commands such as the following: Azure CLI azvm restart-g MyResourceGroup-n MyVm. And in this case, MyVm is your virtual machine. Azure CLI provides cross-platform command line tools for managing Azure resources. You can install the CLI locally on computers running the Linux, macOS, or Windows operating systems. You can also use Azure CLI from a browser through Azure Cloud Shell. In both cases, Azure CLI can be used interactively or through scripts. First, for Windows operating systems, launch a shell such as command.exe, or for the Linux or Mac OS, use bash. Then issue the command at the shell prompt. For scripted, assemble the Azure CLI commands into a shell script using the script syntax of your choice. Then execute the script. Azure CLI lets you control nearly every aspect of every Azure resource. You can work with resource groups, storage, virtual machines, Azure Active Directory, Azure AD, which is changing to Microsoft Entra ID, containers, machine learnings, and so on. Commands in the CLI are structured in groups and subgroups. Each group represents a service provided by Azure, and the subgroups divide commands for these services into logical groupings. For example, the storage group contains subgroups, including account, blob, share, and queue. So how do you find the particular commands you need? One way is to use AZ-find. For example, if you want to find commands that might help you manage a storage blob, you can use the find command, Azure CLI copy. You can use the find command, Azure CLI copy, or AZ-find blob, if you already know the name of the command you want. The -- help argument for that command will give you more detailed information on the command, and for command groups, a list of the available subcommands. For example, here's how you'd get a list of the subgroups and commands for managing blob storage. Azure CLI copy, AZ storage blob, -- help. And as always, thanks for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.